Good evening. My name is Catherine Ahl, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, I want to welcome you all to the South Kitsap School Board District 4 Virtual Candidate Forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that doesn't support or oppose political parties or candidates. After careful study and consensus by our members, the League does take positions on issues, and we take action on those positions at the local, state, and national level. All of you candidates and attendees are helping us work on one of our basic beliefs, that our government depends upon the informed and active participation of citizens. We had many questions submitted to our website, and we've tried to organize them together in topics. So not necessarily all will be asked, but as many as we can get through. The candidates participating are Jefé Wilson and Gregg Anderson. Joe Trent will also be on your ballot, but he did not respond to our invitations to appear on this forum. The rules of the forum are that the candidates will be given 1.5 minutes to make an opening statement, and after both candidates have spoken, the moderator will ask questions that have been submitted by the public. All candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. At the end of the forum, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to make a closing statement. And candidates, remember to keep your eye on the digital timer. Each one of you deserves our thanks for stepping up and running for office. Please be respectful of each other. You each deserve that. Now let's get started. We'll begin with opening statements. Jefé, you get to go first with your opening statement.
Well, thank you very much. As you said, I'm Dr. Jefé Wilson. I really appreciate the opportunity tonight to be here to talk to you about the South Kitsap School Board. As I'm sure many of you know, if you're here in this meeting, the school board has been through a rough a couple of years, especially with COVID in the last year or so. And there's a lot of important things that we need to do for the district. We need to focus on our kids. We need to focus on our infrastructure. We need to focus on getting all of our teachers and children back into the classroom safely and get them caught up on an educational year that they had quite a deficit. What I want to do on the school board is to get away from this bringing in of a lot of hot button political issues and personal agendas, personal attacking and drama, and get back to the business of educating our children and building great schools that our whole community can use. So really excited to hear about what the questions are from the constituents, and I'm really looking forward to talking with you all tonight. So thank you very much again.
Thank you. And Gregg, your opening statement?
So I've always thought about running for office, and I one night told my wife that I was contemplating that, and then I get a text message with the open positions. I do have 2 youngish, I guess, for middle school. I don't know if that's young or not anymore. Still in middle school, but I wanted to take a more active approach in their education and how they're being taught. And so that's why I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, on to questions. What are the official and legal duties of a school board? And Jeff, you get to answer this one first.
So the school board is their job, and by the way, their individual school board directors individually have no power. So, but when they come together and form a quorum as a school board, they do two things. They set policy for the district. They hire, supervise, and fire, if necessary, the superintendent. So our job is to focus on developing a coherent set of policies that guide our school district. We then use those beliefs, those values, and those guiding policies to search and select a superintendent. And then we have that superintendent, we hire him, we direct him, and then he turns those into operations and actually runs the school district. So we're supposed to stick to policy, and he or she is supposed to stick to the operations of the school district.
Okay, thank you. Gregg, your thoughts on the official duties of a school board?
So my understanding of it is the school board helps set the curriculum, like Jeffrey said, the policies, the standards of which the schools operate, in addition to being the oversight for the superintendent for however that goes. And really, Jeffrey explained it pretty well. I mean, I agree with everything he says. So that is my answer to that.
Okay, thanks. And Gregg, you get to go first. We're going to switch back and forth. You get to go first with this one. What are your top priorities if you get elected to the board?
I would like to make the board a more cognizant unit rather than individuals that seemingly have problems with each other. I think there's a gap in the facilities, particularly in the middle schools. The elementary schools are, even the new ones are 30 years old, and there's probably upgrades that need to happen there for the younger kids. And then the second high school needs to be addressed one way or the other. I think we need a second high school. And so that's something that's on my list.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, what are your top priorities?
So one of my top priorities is actually one of the duties of the school board that I forgot to mention, is that's really outreach and connection to the community. So I want to make sure that our school board runs more transparently, and it's more open to input from the community. I don't think they've been as open and welcoming of input as in the past. Beyond that, I really am focused on the infrastructure problem that we have. Again, we need to get a school bond passed. We need, a remodeled or new high school, a couple new junior highs, and probably a couple of elementary schools. Our community is growing fast. We're having hundreds of new houses and hundreds of apartments full of new families that need to be educated. So I wanted the board to focus on that and not on infighting. So I hope to use my skills as an organizational psychologist to put an end to some of that drama that we've seen and get back to basics about building better students for our community.
Okay, both of you have mentioned this a little bit, but I'll let you expand if you want to. And Jeff, you get to go first. What would you bring to this position that would make the board more collegial and able to work in the best interests of the community?
So in my career as an organizational psychologist, I've worked with lots of different teams, executive teams, management teams, employee teams, some of them quite dysfunctional. And so while I wouldn't be consulting to the board, I'd be part of it. I can definitely tap into that experience, some of my techniques and tools for dealing with difficult situations to work through and work together. As I said before, each of us individually on a board are really powerless. We must work together as a unit in order to accomplish anything. So, whether we like it or not, we need to figure out a way to work together. instead of butting heads and sniping at each other. And so I can use my experience in business and translate that over to working with this school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Gregg, how would you make the board work better together and so forth?
Well, I don't know that I could make it, but I am I'm a processor of information. I don't fly off the cuff of things. I like to process, digest, and make my decisions based on that rather than off the cuff things. I mean, I've been a worker in the shipyard for years now. There's all sorts of different personalities that we all have a job to do, and you have to kind of pet the people that need petting and scold the people that need scolding, and eventually we can get the job done.
Thank you. You both touched on this a little bit too, but the question submitted was, in the past, the board has placed a bond issue on the ballot several times to raise money to build a second high school, only to see the measure narrowly defeated. Do you want to see such a bond in the future? Or what is the alternative plan to build more schools? And Gregg, you get to go first with this one.
I would like to see another bond issue. I think the biggest problem that the bond issues have is that they don't typically happen in big election years. So I think more than anything, it's a lack of voter turnout, combined with the fact that I don't think the way that it is written when we get it in the voters pamphlet is necessarily clear to people. I consider myself fairly intelligent, but even I have a hard time looking at exactly what they mean when they put those in the voters pamphlet. So yes, I don't have an alternative because I just don't know enough about that. There you go.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Jeff?
Yes, well, I definitely would like to see a new bond. Unfortunately, that 60% voter approval hurdle is a huge one. I'm hoping to get some, constitutional or some relief from that. But without that, there really is no alternative, right? We have to put something together. So that's where I'd like to make sure that we do a lot more upfront research and outreach to the community to make sure we put together a proposal that the community can get behind. I think, if you think about it, we need 60% of the people, and we've built 2 high schools. It's only going to serve 50% of them, and one of them, half of them are going to have to go to the old high school. And so, people, while they're generous, they don't want to pay for somebody else's high school, at least in their mind. So we need kind of a one bond, one SK, something that will benefit the whole community. So I like to put together a package of schools that would include high school, middle school, elementary, as I said, that would serve us all, that we all get behind. We've waited 30 some years and we really can't do that again. There really isn't another alternative. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay, and Jeff, you go first with this one. Recently, the Center for Disease Control, CDC, issued guidance that masks should be worn indoors by individuals who are not fully vaccinated. Would you support segregation of students based on vaccination status, mask versus non-mask? Or what would you propose when the kids go back to school?
I don't think segregating students in any fashion is a good idea. I do think we need to have a safe return to school. I think the plan is a full, 100% classrooms. I know that, for those kids that are in elementary school, and my wife is an elementary school teacher, so I get a lot of this firsthand as well, or secondhand, I guess, from her. they're not going to have vaccines for kids under 12 until probably into winter time. So they're going to all start out wearing masks. I think the guidance in middle school and high school could be somewhat different, but I think we need to continue to work safely and everyone together. I think for sure those folks that aren't vaccinated need to wear a mask, but I think they could be in the same room, and I think they could work through some of the distancing with unmasked people or vaccinated people. I think we just need to do it safely and get back to learning. And if a vaccine is available, I really hope that people take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thanks. And Gregg?
No, they should not be segregated. Shouldn't have separate classrooms for masked and unmasked. With the age limit at this moment being 12, my 12-year-old got vaccinated. My 11-year-old can't, so she's going to wear a mask. They shouldn't be separated, shouldn't have separate seats, separate classrooms, anything like that. They're still going to the same school. They should still learn the same things. So this is a really hard thing for the schools to deal with. I understand that.
Yeah.
But you can't start splitting people up like that, in my opinion, because that just doesn't seem quite right to me. Okay.
Thank you. It's kind of a long, complicated one. And Gregg, you get to go first. Has the pandemic and its effect on education made you think more broadly about ways to improve our school system? For example, should we make it easier for students to attend virtually, even when there's not a pandemic? Should we be offering more summer school opportunities for students who fall behind during the school year?
Right, that was a long one. So more summer school, work backwards here. I think more summer school for people that are struggling is a good idea. I forget what the middle question was, but the first one, the pandemic.
Well, should it made it easier for students to attend virtually, even when there's not a pandemic?
Okay, so, and I can only speak from personal experience. My kids, as much as they hated it, didn't have a problem with the virtual learning. And by that, I mean they could still log into their Zooms and kind of attend their classes, but there's other stuff going on. I think the school district did the best they could with what they had at the time. And hopefully we can do something to make it a little bit better in the future.
Okay.
And Jeff?
So I think COVID taught us all how to work and learn differently. Business did it and schools did it. There was bumpy times, of course, but I think we've all learned that, there are virtual solutions that work for some people. And there are some people that, need that in-person where impossible classroom. So I think yes, whatever can keep our students engaged, get their academics up, get the pass rates higher. I'm all for that. I think the plans are on the table to expand the digital learning options for people in the district already. And so I think that could also help to alleviate a little bit of our building pressures in some places as well. So yes, I think we have to continue to be flexible and have flexible, varied options for our students, ones that meet their needs and their learning styles, and gets the best results for them and their families.
Okay. Jeff, you get to go first with this one. Do you think our schools are doing a good job of preparing students to live in a diverse community and get along with people from many different racial, ethnic, and religious backgrounds? If not, what could they do to improve?
So I think they're they're doing a pretty good job, from what I understand today, for about having an inclusive environment, one that's welcoming to all different people. I think being in this community that we aren't as diverse as a lot of places, I think what the kids do lack is sometimes is a day-to-day interaction or living in a mixed neighborhood. I know growing up here most of my life, and then moved to Southern California for graduate school, it was really a different world for me. Went from, being in a majority population to a minority one, and from a Protestant to Catholic, and a whole bunch of other changes that were not bad, but I think you need to be able to experience them. So if there's ways that we can do more exchanges or more interactions with other groups outside of our city, as well as being tolerant to who's here, I think that would greatly expand our kids' point of view.
Okay. And Gregg?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's, do you think our schools are doing a good job of preparing students to live in a diverse community and to get along with people from many different racial, ethnic, and religious backgrounds?
I think they are. And I say that because my two oldest that have already left the school district, graduated, don't seem to think about that sort of thing. They're people. Doesn't matter, what they look like, how they act, who they like, what, any of that sort of thing. And that's really all I can base it off of is, even my little ones, they have friends that are their friends, and that's it. And it's not anything other than that. So I do think they're doing a good job. There's probably more that can be done, but I don't have the answer to that. But I do think they're doing a good job.
Okay, thanks. All right. Okay, and Gregg, you get to go first with this. Do you agree with Senate Bill 5044 that requires school board directors, administrators, and educators to receive training on cultural competency, diversity, equity, and inclusion, excuse me?
I don't think that's a terrible idea. Particularly because, well, I'm by definition older white guy, and I may not be as up to date on things as I should be. It's weird to me that they want to train the school board directors, and the administrators make some sort of sense. I guess the school board does too, now I think about it. But I don't know how it's a bad thing. Anytime you're learning something, you've had a good day, I suppose.
Okay. And Jeff?
So I think we can always learn more about diversity and inclusion, and learn about how we may or may not be acting, or how we may be perceived, or how our interactions with others are shaped by our cultural upbringing and how we were taught. There's a lot of things that we do every day that that we take for granted, that we don't think about. And I think these types of courses help you to understand the perspective of other people better, and be able to relate to them more, understand why some things might be upsetting for them that aren't upsetting for you and seem totally normal to you. And so I think the more that our school boards are aware, and our administrators and our teachers, the better, more inclusive environment that we can create for our students. So I don't see where it can be a bad thing.
and this is just to throw this out, because I did go and research this bill a little bit more before this forum. And I think new school board members within the first 2 years of their service on the board would have to take this training. And I forget now what the time frame is for sitting school boards, but it may be every 2 years or something too. So, all right. And okay, we got both of you on that one. We're moving right along, guys. I think we may be out of here early. And these last three questions sort of go along the same road, so to speak. And Jeff, you get to go first on this one. Do you think the role of racism, that is Asian, African, Hispanic, and Native American, should be taught in history classes?
Well, it's part of our history, and I think it's still to a degree part of our experience today, and those people of color's experience, and my and your experience. So I don't think that there's things about history that we shouldn't talk about. They can be difficult. They can be hard. They can be embarrassing. They can be painful. But I don't think we should hide the history from our children or from each other, or the truth about what is or isn't happening today. So I wouldn't be for leaving out selecting history and teaching that. I want to teach the whole thing. So thank you.
Okay. And Gregg?
It should absolutely be taught, because it is things that happened, whether we're talking about the Japanese internment, slavery, the Trail of Tears, all of that is stuff that has happened. And it shouldn't be something that's sugar-coated over or glossed over or made light of, because it are things that happened. And there's that saying, if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it, or I forget the exact quote.
Right.
But there's no harm that can come from learning about that, because they are things that happened, and you shouldn't be kept in the dark about it.
Okay. Do you know if the I'm assuming they were on Zoom, school board meetings have been recorded and posted on the district website? And should they be? And Gregg, you get to go first.
As far as I know, as far as I can see, all that is posted on the website are the minutes, the agenda. Given the craziness that is the current school board, I think they should be, because people should know what's going on there when they're not actually talking about school board things. So yes, I don't know if they are. All I can find are the minutes, and I think they should be.
Okay. Thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, so yes, all the meetings are open to the public, and the agendas are posted ahead of time. One of the things that doesn't always happen, at least to me, is like a lot of notice before particularly controversial subjects are getting on there, but they are fully recorded. So they do record they take the minutes, but then they also record all of the sessions. And so the only parts that aren't recorded and the only part in video, and the only parts that don't show up in the minutes, are things that are held in what's called executive session, where just the board meets on a particular topic, but everything else is there. So there's a couple extra clicks you have to do on the district's website, but you can actually find the videos for all the last couple of years, and I don't know when they get deleted or when they get archived or whatever, but at least the last year or two, you can get them recording. I know they've had, I think, 1 or 2 meetings where there was a technical issue and part of a meeting got lost, but I think they all should be there in video form.
They should be, but you don't know if they are at this.
Well, they are. I mean, all the ones from the last couple of years, because I don't often get to watch them live, so I actually watch them on video myself. So
Okay.
I know they're there.
Okay. I have one last question that was submitted. I know you're sad to see this over, but and Jeff, you get to go first. Have you looked at the proposed budget? Do you find it easy to understand? And do you agree with it?
Well, budgets are hard. Budgets are hard and complex to understand, and it's a moving target. So I've looked at a lot of budgets in my time in business, project budgets and HR budgets, and now school board budgets. So yes, I have looked it all through. It's not easy to understand, but they never are. You do have to do a lot of digging in them, and there's constantly money coming in and money coming out. And the money coming in comes in different chunks at different times from different places, and the money goes out strangely. There's not when you dig down below the surface, there's not a whole lot of elements that are too scary. A huge chunk of it is salaries for teachers and administrators and bus drivers and cooks and teachers' aides. That's, the vast majority of your budget. There's stuff for buildings, there's stuff for curriculum, food, and so forth, and gas. But it comes down to those things. So you can make your way through it in time.
Okay. Gregg, how about you?
Very simple. Nope, I have not looked at the budgets.
Okay. I think it's coming up soon on the agenda, but I'm not positive about that either.
And I just have a quick little thing. I'm getting these chat bubbles popping up.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is, because normally we don't do that in webinars.
Okay. I didn't know if I was supposed to respond to
All
those.
of the questions had to be submitted 2 days or 3 days before the actual forum. So we moderators could, compile them and get them in some sort of order to ask them. So, but I'm at the end of my questions. We could just sit and chat for a while if you wanted, but I think you all have your own lives to get on with too. So it's the time now for closing statements. And Jefé went first with opening. So Gregg, you get to go first with your closing statement.
I would just like to thank you for at least giving me this opportunity. I am a first-time political aspirant, and this has been a very eye-opening experience, but I appreciate you at least giving me the chance to answer questions and explain myself. Other than that, not a whole lot.
Okay. Jeff, your closing statement.
All right. Well, thanks. Well, once again, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you today and get the voter questions and really thoughtful, great questions. So thank you, voters, for submitting those. I also like to thank Gregg for coming out. It was fun to have someone else to talk these things through with, and so appreciate hearing his answers as well tonight. So that was really great. And there's so much division and so much contention on the school board. There's a lot of name calling and needless drama. Now, people keep asking me, with the school board that's going to be remaining after this, whose side am I on, and who am I with, and what side are you on? And I like to tell people I'm on the side of logic and reason, level-headedness, rational thought, and sound judgment. So I'm really looking to get back to business of developing our schools and developing our students, and take some of this politics and drama away. So when you get a chance to look at your ballots, which you should all have in your mail, I really hope that you can mark a ballot for Wilson. So thank you very much.
Okay. And the ballots are supposed to be mailed out tomorrow, I believe, by the county. So
I
everybody,
got mine.
I got mine.
oh, you've already
I
got,
got
yeah.
mine. Yeah.
And they come in different cycles depending on where you live in the county, I think. We want to thank BCAT for recording this forum for broadcast on cable channel 3 or 12. And the league has also recorded this, and it will be on our website, which is lw-kitsap.org in a few days. I am always left a bit proud when I moderate forums in Kitsap County, and tonight is no exception. I appreciate both of your answers and your thoughtfulness, and we all appreciate your standing up and running for office. That's what it's all about. To me, there's nothing more sad than incumbents running unopposed. I think these sort of back and forths are really great. For one thing, it helps you think about various subjects and
Sure.
Hear what the other person has to say too. So that's the thought I want to leave you with. I am very proud to live in an area where we have good candidates and that they're very respectful of each other. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good evening.